the budget, numbers, item by item, ministry by ministry. And we go through a process of having MPs ask the minister questions with respect to what they're spending the money for. As we mentioned, budget, it would be remiss of me not to mention, many persons see us in this dome and they think that's the work of you, members of parliament. But there's a lot of other work happening to ensure we get in here. And thank you. And for these, this year, our committee of supply and these estimates, I really want to express my appreciation to the two whips and the leadership provided by the Honorable Member Mahipal and the Honorable Senior Minister of Finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, for their work in getting these estimates here. We have been off to a very good start. Today's perhaps the best start since I've been presiding over these sessions. And I look forward to similar constructive comments as we have had yesterday. We will now resolve ourselves into committee. Sorry, Mr. Clerk.
Presentation of petitions, presentation of papers and reports, etc. Reports from committees. Oral questions without notice. Questions and notice. Statements by ministers, including policy statements. Personal explanations. Requests for leave to move the adjournment of the National Assembly on definite matters of urgent public importance. Motions relating to the business or sittings of the National Assembly and moved by a minister. Introduction of bills, public business, government's business.
The House will resolve itself into committee to consider the continued consideration of the estimates. Our first ministry on today is the Ministry of Agriculture, as we invite the Honorable Minister and his team to take their seat in the well. Updating you on the summary as of the end of yesterday, we have 60 minutes in savings carried over to today, 60 minutes. And we're starting today at 10:29. Honorable members, I turn your attention to pages 138 and 139. If anyone is getting problems with turning these pages because our fingers are getting dry, let me know. We will provide you with the sponges. Honorable members, I now propose a question that the sum stated for Agency 21, Ministry of Agriculture, Program 211, Ministry Administration, stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Common Chair, good morning. Through you, sir, permit me to extend to the family, friends, and loved ones of Mr. Aaron Leach, a District Crop Extension Officer of Region Number 10, our deepest condolences from the opposition. Mr. Speaker, line item 611 through to 6117. Could the Honourable Minister state whether any employee or how many employees would have resigned under these line items from 2023 to date?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank the Honourable Member. Before I answer, I also want to join in extending our sincere condolences to this worker, Aaron Leach, who was working very hard and worked for NARI. And my many visits in Region 10 and also in the Tacoma area. He normally be on the team. We'll miss him. Last night, a delegation from the Ministry of Agriculture went to the home, and we'll continue to keep them in our prayer and also to see their needs presently. So on behalf, once again, I want to extend our sincere condolences to the family, and we'll miss him dearly.
Thank you, Minister. And we, on behalf of everyone here too, we extend condolences to the family. Yours truly, actually, Mr. Minister, used to be the chairman of NARI at one time.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the honorable member asked a number of line items. So I have to go in by individual line item because he asked for the entire 6111 to 6117. So for 6111 administration, you have a decrease here of a personal officer who would have resigned in October of 2023. 6112, senior technical, you have a decrease with the resignation of one civil engineer. 6114, you got decrease in line item due to the following resignation of 5 officers and 1 retirement. 1 went on retirement, 3 accounts clerk, 2 office assistants, and the registry supervisor would have retired. Semi-skilled 6115, you have a handyman who have resigned there. And in 6116, you have a number of scholars who have whose contracts came to an end from the ministry administration, but they have now been placed in the individual agencies like NARI, GLDA, and so on. And in 6117, you have the temporary employees who would have moved to different head in the various ministry. So that's the overall numbers that the member would back.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable member,
Total is 11.
Honorable member, Mr. Jordan. No other question. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for program 211 Ministry Administration current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, let's turn to pages 140 and 141. And I propose the question that the sum stated for program 212, Agricultural Development and Support Services current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. The honorable member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, 6321, specifically to GLDA. I see in 2023, the honorable member asked for $627 million. That is for wages and salaries, and now there's a decline, taking it to $550 million. Could the honorable minister say what would have occasioned that decline and whether staff would have resigned also from that agency, and how many?
Honorable Minister.
So Mr. Chair, I'm right, and I'm looking here. I'm not seeing any decrease. I'm seeing an increase of $62 million at GLD, that line item that the honorable member would have, right? And that increase came about because of like eight additional livestock assistants that we have employed at GLDA. So I haven't seen any decrease at that line item.
Honorable member, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chair, I'm at page 673.
673.
Honorable Minister.
I'm looking at the line item that you are talking employment costs. In 2023, we have we had $722 million that were budgeted for employment costs. In 2024, I am seeing here 785 million that have been budgeted here, right? And below that, you are talking about material, equipment, and supplies, man. Wages and salaries, if you talk about overhead expenditure, or you're talking about wages and salary by itself, you will see a 76 million that have been increased under wages and salary. GLD you're talking about? Yes, Mr. Chair, we are talking here.
Mr. Chair, probably we have different books, but I am seeing, and permit me, sir,
Go ahead, Honorable Member.
wages and salaries in 2023 revised 627,197. 2024, 550,206. Can you confirm that you've seen the same, Mr. Chair?
I just want to, we're at Ghana Livestock Development
Yes, sir.
Agency. Which page you are?
673.
Right, I'm on 673.
Appendix.
Employment costs.
So, Mr. Chair, if I could just, when you look at this here, and you look at the line item that the honorable member is looking at, you have to look at two: overhead expenditure and wages and salaries. So the wages and salary were shown a decrease, but the overhead expenses that has been reclassified with those employees have increased to $235 million. That is why in my records here, it's showing two different figures of employment costs gone up by 62 million, and then the wages and salary will show 76 million increase. So the total increase for that the two areas, wages and salaries and overhead expenditure, would have increased by declined by 550 to 550, but then the overhead expenditure increased to 235 million.
Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I still would like to know from the minister how many employees would have resigned, if any rather, during the year 2023 from the GLD.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, 4 employees would have resigned.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now
Mr.
put
Speaker.
Honorable Member, Mr. Mahiport.
Thank you, sir. Sir, same 6321, National Drainage and Irrigation Authority. I see a sum there of $17 billion. Sir, would the Honorable Minister be kind enough to tell this Honorable House the salary and benefits of the chairman of NDIA board, please?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, the chairman don't receive a salary from the NDIA board. The chairman and the members, the directors receive a stipend. So they are not receiving wages and salaries.
Sir, forgive me. Would the Honorable
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr.
Thank you,
Mahiport.
sir. Would the Honorable Minister be kind enough to tell us what that stipend is?
Mr. Chair, I think I can lay that information over.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you, Honorable Minister. Would the Honorable Minister be kind enough to tell us the salary and benefits of the Chief Executive Officer of NDIA, please?
Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Minister Hamilton, the parliamentary words, and you want to make a contribution like that, you could come to the mic.
Mr. Chair, the salary for this year is 1.3 million.
That's
a
this-
contract gratuity.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Would the Honorable Minister repeat?
1,303,000.
Sir, is that the,
Honorable Member, go
thank you, sir. Sir, is that the salary and benefits, or the salary and there's a separate benefits? Would the Minister clarify, please?
Honorable Minister.
So that was not included in the contract in the gratuity. That the gratuity is one side, the other benefits.
Thank you, Honorable Sir.
Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Program 212, Agricultural Development and Support Services current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Some stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, let's turn to pages 142 and 143. And I propose a question that the sum stated for program 213 fisheries current expenditure now stands part of the estimates. The honorable member, Mr. Jordan. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for program 213 fisheries current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, turn to pages 144, 145. And I propose a question that the sum stated for program 214 Hydromet services current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for program 214 hydrometeorological services current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Members, honorable members, I now invite you to turn to page 499. Honorable members, I now propose the question that the sum stated for program 211, Ministry Administration Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Honorable member, Mr. Jordan.
Chair, I would just like to ask the Honorable Minister if he can lay over the breakdown for the buildings that are going to be maintained or repaired under this line item. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, before just one building at the ministry head office, the northern side, we will be repairing the entire northern side of that building.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable member, Mr. Jordan. Honorable member, Mr. Maipod.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I heard the honorable member saying that he will be repairing the existing building. This is a capital project. Would it not have been a recurrent project on the maintenance of building?
Mr. Chair,
Honorable Minister.
the warden will rehab the entire building, right? Not repair, rehab it. Got it?
Thank you. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for program 211, Ministry Administration Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, we turn to program 212, Agricultural Development and Support Services. And I propose a question that the sum stated herein for the capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable member, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chair, I would just like to ask the Honorable Minister, over the last year, you mentioned unstarted works on a number of pump stations across the country. I would like to ask the Honorable Minister to give us a breakdown of the completion by percentage and give us a definite date as to when these projects will be completed.
And we are speaking to 1301600, right? Honorable Minister.
Chair, we haven't met that program yet. The member is moving. Pump station doesn't fall under that program. If you want, I can give the answer. I have the answer. But I'm just saying, procedurally, we are not at that area. We are at flood risk.
Honorable Minister, we are at program 212.
Yes, 212.
Agricultural Development.
All right.
And
so I will lay that over to the honorable member. We have pump station going on, and I will lay out all the information that he needs. the starting date and the final completion dates.
Yeah. Thank you very much because it's in the description there at NDIA. Honorable Member Minister will lay that over. Honorable Member Mr. Mahipot.
Thank you, sir. I heard clearly that the minister said he's willing to lay over the start date and completed date. May I add to that request whilst laying over, sir, for the honorable minister to lay over the location of these pump stations, the name of the contractor for these pump stations, the contracted sum for these pump stations. They revised the completion dates from the date that was original there for completion of these pump stations, the previous year expenditure for these pump stations, sir, the current balance for these pump stations, and
I may have to ask you to lay over that request.
Sir, what I'm looking at here, if I may, sir, what I'm looking at here is the 2023 September PSIP report that gives a detailed breakdown of not only these pump stations, but the entire capital program of NDIA, where we're seeing a number of projects still to be completed. Unfortunately, sir, the October PSIP report to the NDIA board was not submitted to the board. The November PSIP report was not submitted to the board. The December one, which was submitted, was altered, not reflecting what it was in September. And as I looked at the minutes of that NDIA board meeting, it was mentioned, sir, that they will not be providing this detailed breakdown as they did in September. So I'm asking the Honorable Minister, in view of transparency and accountability, which I'm sure he champions, if he can please lay over the PSIP report, the capital expenditure, similar to what I have for September 2023, which I'm willing to show him, if he can lay over that document as of the 31st of January 2024, and if he can also request of NDIA CEO and chairman to continue to give the PSIP report in the aim of transparency and accountability to the board of directors at NDIA, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member Mr. Mahipot, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, first of all, I want to clarify some misleading information to this National Assembly. I have here the chairman, and he told me that the board
Honorable Member,
received the report. The honorable member is a director of the board.
Honorable Minister, I was just cautioning you with the word of misleading.
Well, misinformation coming here. First of all, the chairman told me just now that the board himself and the board would have received reports. I don't know if the Honorable Mahipot is a member of the board of directors and he doesn't receive one. Secondly, we have been submitting these reports. These are public reports, and all that the member would have mentioned. Because of our submission, that is why he's getting those reports and all those details. And we are not afraid. We are not afraid to lay the report. There were reasons. I go out and ensure that when the honorable member would have mentioned a number of issues, I went and answered it and said why this pump station was delayed. And the honorable member said that they were delinquent contractors. And when we took steps to remove those contractors, he went back and said, blame the government. The government should not stop the contract. That's a hot and cold, the honorable member blowing. We had a pump station in Blackbush Polder, which we terminated the contract. The honorable member went and said how much money we lost and a whole set of issues. We respond to it. Likewise, those areas that we have pump station now, I will be gladly laying over the report. I can read out the report. I have it in my hands. It will take a lot of time. I will lay it over to them. I'll give them all the details that he asked for. We don't have anything to hide from this side of the house. We are champion, yes, of accountability and transparency. We don't extort people. We don't go to contractors and say we're extorting you. You have to pay up or else we will report you. I have those evidence and I will take it out at the appropriate time. Certain people, I am not saying who, but certain people, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipol.
Thank you very much, Comrade Chairman. Comrade Chairman, as I rightly said to you, the last detailed PSIP report,
The question?
yes, was of September 2023. And that is what I'm referencing here. October, November, and December, it wasn't as detailed as this. The AP and UAFC has representation on the board, and that is how we acquire our information. So specifically to the pump station at Blackbush Polder, the Honorable Minister was kind enough to say that that pump station was terminated after failure to comply with numerous requests to do the work correctly. Sir, the design and supervision for irrigation pump station at Blackbush Polder Frontland Lot 4 was awarded to Innovative Engineering Consultancy Services to the tune of $21,712,000. Sir, in the previous year, which was 2022, the sum of $7,738,000 was paid to this consultancy firm. And in the year 2023, a sum of $13,832,000 was paid to this consultancy firm. Sir, so the only amount of money based on this PSIP report as of September 2023 that is owed to this consultancy firm is $142,000, indicating that 99% of the budgeted expenditure was paid to the consultancy firm to supervise and design the pump station at Blackbush Polder. If the pump station was just 10% completed, sir, why did the ministry go ahead and paid the supervision cost in full, basically, for this project?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, first of all, I want to say again, the NDIA board are receiving the report. The chairman here assured me that he have been receiving the report from the board. The other issue the honorable member would have mentioned, talking about this design and supervision by the consultant. Indeed, the job of the consultant is to look at the design, review the design, and ensure that the design is good for us to start the implementation of the project. The implementation was started, and during the course of the work, we found by the consultant informed us that the contractor is not abiding with the rules in terms of getting the specs done properly. And because of a number of failures that were highlighted by the consultant and our engineer, we terminated the contract. Now, the contractor would have received two payments. First payment was contract mobilization, and the other payment was part of a value for part of the work that he was doing. So I don't know what the honorable member is saying, because before we pay these payments, we have a bond that secures government funds. So we will not lose a cent when we pay out those monies. So we have that bond for that contract, honorable member. And we will utilize it if there is overpayments from that work. But the contract has been terminated because the consultant would have cited a number of failures. And when we did the tests showed that yes, there were failures.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipol.
Thank you, Comrade Chairman. Comrade Chairman, in my investigation surrounding these pump stations across the country, sir, I have found out. Hold on.
Yes, Mr. Mahipol, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So I was saying in my investigation surrounding these pump stations, I would have unearthed that these consultants, when they are finished doing their design, they would normally go to engineering department of NDIA for ratification and basically to agree that this is exactly what has to be done before it is being accepted. So my question to the Honorable Minister, would it not have been prudent financial management and better for the NDIA department, the engineering department, to be enhanced and provided with the necessary resources, monetary and otherwise, for the engineers at NDIA to be the one to do the design and supervision of these pump stations, which will not cost our country millions of dollars that go towards the consultant as opposed to our engineers that are in the system?
Honorable
So,
Minister.
Mr. Chair, I don't know if the member can comprehend what I'm saying. What I am saying, listen attentively. We have a project design that is being reviewed by the consultant. After that review, if the consultant have any issue with it, they come to the NDIA and they look at it and they agree what has to be changed and what has to be added to that. When that is completed, then we have a proper design for the project. So that's a standard operating procedure when you do projects. That you do this design, yes, you do our design, but you have to have a person or a consultant. We normally have them to look at and review it, and they come back within the time to ensure that we have a proper design with both sides. Both sides agree that the NDIA engineering department and the consultant have a design that we can work with.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Before you take the floor, Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipon. Since we've been doing estimates, I have been referring to our standing orders, which allows prosecution, as the Honorable AG will say, in a certain direction. And I draw, because I hear people shouting in my right ear about the debate is over. So judge if I'm wrong in allowing the line of questioning. 75, procedure in committee of supply. 2, on the consideration of the estimates, the chairperson shall call the title of each head of expenditure in turn and shall propose the question that the sum of stands part of the estimate. Unless an amendment is proposed under the provision of the next standing order, a debate may take place on that question. Any such debate shall be confined to the policy of the service for which the money is to be provided and shall not deal with the details of any item or subhead that may refer to details of revenues, which we've cautioned people about, or funds for which that service is responsible. I've stopped people asking questions on the revenue side yesterday when we dealt with GA. I have had the debate confined to the appropriated amount sought in the estimates. I remember Mr. Mahipon. I hope this puts the issue to rest.
Thank you very much for that clarity, Comrade Speaker. Comrade Speaker, the 2 pump stations at Region 3 that is currently under construction at A-Line Canal and Canal number 1, they are way behind schedule, as the Honorable Minister will agree with me on that. Sir, but in the process of building these 2 pump stations, serious harm and deterioration were brought to the access road, both at Bagottville and Good Fortune. The one at Bagottville, sir, is causing our nursery school children to not have proper access to that nursery school. And the one at Good Fortune, sir, is causing residents to not have access to their homes. Unfortunately, a senior citizen passed away 2 days ago. I was there, and he has no proper access and so on. But outside of that, sir, when they keep hammering these piles down to strengthen the area, the base of the pump station, it is destroying the home of that family there, and there are evidence of cracks on the wall and so on. Would the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority compensate that family for the destruction that was brought to their home? And secondly, would NDIA add monies to these contracts to rectify the access road that is damaged, that are damaged, both access roads that are damaged, so that it can come back to normalcy?
Okay, there is another issue here, how people frame questions. And
What's policy, but
the other issue there is going to be Are there provisions in this sum?
So,
Go ahead, Honorable.
Mr. Chair, first of all, the roads that the honorable member is mentioning or has mentioned, that's in the contract, they will have to repair back the roads. But in these contracts, you have something called public liability insurance. And that's the way, I don't know if the honorable member don't know about that, but then anyone, any home destroyer, any person's asset destroyed would have to be replaced at the end of the contract. So that is the way that we will ensure that we target and deal with that issue.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Maipol.
Thank you, Comrade Chairman. Comrade Chairman, would the Honorable Minister please guide this House as to the reason why there is that significant delay in the completion of the two pump stations at Canal Number 1 and A line, please?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, the completion dates for two contracts are the 29th of March and the 30th of April, respectively, this year. But the delay came about because there were a number of other issues that caused the delay. For example, the A-line pump station, you had a number of fisher folks there that had structure. We took about 6 months to get those people off that area. Then you had a community center at the other place there. We had to negotiate with the community. We had to build a new community center, and that took almost 9 months before we get going. So it was a number of issues, and we are working with the community, all right? And the honorable member is aware if he's visiting and he knows and he lives in the area.
Honorable Member, Mr. Maipol.
Thank you, Comrade Chairman. Comrade Chairman, there are 4 other pump stations that were awarded last year, and these are pump stations at Metamere Zorg, the one at Bellevue, there is one at Podrine, and one at Jimbo Grove. Can the Honorable, the start date on this PSIP that I have here that I made reference to, September 2023, states at the start date for the one at Metamere Zorg is the 4th of September 2023. The one at Bellevue is the 27th of June 2023. The one at Podrine is the 27th of June 2023. And the one at Jimbo Grove is around the same date, sir, the 4th of September 2023. Can the Honorable Minister say what is the reason for no physical work actually starting at these sites? Because I did visit Bellevue and Podrine the same time when I was at Canal Number 1 and A-line, and no work is there.
Honorable Minister.
So here again, Mr. Chair, the honorable member, probably that document that he has here is not correct.
So give me the right one now.
Listen, I listen to you. Listen to me.
Yes.
Now we have had a
you asked the question.
We have had a review of those dates after we have had the design consultation with the NDIA. Those projects are 18 months duration. It will run up to 2025, and the dates there are August and July of next year. The new starting date will be the 5th of February and the 30th of January, that the new start date that we have in the contracts. Because, and as we are speaking now, we have test files that have already been driven. At Jimbo, we have the contractors are procuring their steel sheet pile, so that these are important components that have to start with these pump stations. So work are going to place, and we will ensure that we work and we monitor these projects very closely.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Maipol.
Thank you, Comrade Chairman. I look forward for the updated PSIP report because, as the Minister rightly said, I have an outdated one. Sir, may I ask the Honorable Minister if in this sum, the $10 billion, is there consideration for more pump stations? And if so, where are they going to be located?
Honorable Minister.
So yes, Mr. Chair, we have another pump station at Chesney on the quarantine that we'll build this year, very shortly after the this budget would have approved, we'll put out the advertisement and move the process forward.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal.
Mr. Chairman, would the Honorable Minister be kind enough to provide us with an update on the pump station at Cottage, West Coast, Berbice, which was awarded to the tune of $903,371,020 on the 1st of December 2021 was the start date that I have here. And based on the September 2023 PSIP report, it was just 44% completed.
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, yes, this pump station is about 80% complete and the new completion date is March 30th.
Thank you very much, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal.
Yes, I do have a lot of information here. Sir, can the Honorable Minister provide us with an update on the pump station at Andrews, Essequibo Coast, that was awarded in the sum of $528,050,550 with a start date of the 27th of September 2021?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, that should be completed by the end of February. The pump is being installed presently as we are speaking there. The pump is on site.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal.
Sir, would the Honorable Minister be kind enough to provide us with an update on the construction of the pump station at Charity on the Essequibo Coast Region number 2, which was awarded in the sum of $544,890,203 with a start date of the 8th of July 2022?
Honorable
So,
Minister.
Mr. Chairman, that is another project we had a lot of challenges in removing squatters from the CDAM there. The project is about 25% completion and there's continuing driving file here.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal.
Thank you, sir. Sir, would the Honorable Minister be kind enough to provide us with information pertaining to the construction of a pump station at Letterkenny, Bloomsfield Outfall Channel, Quarantine, Berbice, Region number 6, that was awarded to the tune of $759,379,100 with a start date of the 20th of June 2023?
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Works are in progress, Mr. Chair, and the contractor is in the process of procuring steel sheet pile and the pumps.
And you may know every ounce of dirt in that area too.
Yeah, definitely. And I will ensure that that is my home community.
We got to make sure it's done correctly. Sir,
Honorable Member, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Sir,
just before one correction also to Mr. Speaker. Probably when the Honorable Senior Minister would have, will start to respond, he will tell you about, that is an area where one of the structure of the Hope Light Canal will be built. So the entire catchment area from Blackbush Polder to Port Moran will drain through that area also. So there's a large project will go on there later on this year.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal.
Sir, with reference to the dredging of the Pomeroon River mouth, I know that this contract was awarded to the tune of $569,300,000. And that was, of course, in keeping with the bill of quantity and the scope of work, which required a specific type of equipment to go to the Pomeroon River to do that dredging. But I am aware, sir, that because of the depth and the draft and a whole host of other technical issues, that it was not the equipment, the special equipment, I think it was a hopper dredger that was supposed to go there, was not able to go for various reasons. Can the Honorable Minister indicate to this House if there was a change in the sum of money that was awarded because the scope of work would have changed since the equipment that was supposed to go there was not able to go?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, yes, that's a good project. As a matter of fact, that project will bring a lot of relief to the farmers in the Pomeroon. That will complement us what we are doing there. 537 farmers. We are now lifting their bed by 1 meter. And when we have the draft in the Pomeroon, and the honorable member mentioned, we saw the project, the contract sum remained the same, although we have changed the scope of work because the place was so shallow, we have to create a channel for the cutter edge dredge to work. And as we are speaking now, the cutter edge dredge is working, but there are a lot of coconut husks coming out too, because people seem to dump the husks in the river. What we are doing now too also, we are purchasing from Nari and Hope Coconut Estate these machines now that we are helping farmers in the Pomeroon to do the mulching process and do the value added with the husks, so that what we are doing now will avoid the husks from dumping into the Pomeroon River. So the project cost or the contract sum have remained the same, but the scope of work has changed because we had to do other designs.
Excellent. Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I welcome the project there to clear the river mouth at Pomeroon. Indeed, it will bring relief to farmers once done correctly. Sir, thank you very much, and I look forward for the Honorable Minister to update my PSIP report with the current status of these projects, among others. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. He gave a speech at the end. It's not a question. You want to respond?
No, well, as I said, Mr. Chair, we don't have anything to hide. We will always, as you know for a fact, that we always make information available, and we always be accountable and transparent.
Honorable members, the questioning is finished. Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal, please, you have a good habit of giving an additional speech when the persons are responding to the questions. Honorable members, I now put a question that some stated.
Mr. Speaker.
I'm trying to catch the microphone. Which one?
Just trying to.
Honorable member.
Mangrove management. Oh, sorry. Sir, the project at Danzig Fairfield and Content Foreshore, we see here another $275 million provided for that project. Could the Honorable Minister say what is the current percentage of work completed and when the work is expected to be completed?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, that project was a rollover project. The completion date for the first phase of that project will complete by the 31st of March 2024. And we have an outstanding balance of $21,278,000. The other breakdown was the 400-meter geotextile tube grind at Paradise Jib, where that will complete it on the 28th of February 2024, and we have an outstanding balance of $13,415,000. And then the $240,306 is disaggregate as follows. Construction of 200-meter timber breakwater at Danzig. You remember that area we had a serious failure and saltwater intrusion. And because of the saltwater intrusion, many farmers now were unable to plant there up to date. Under this government, we have the farmers going back to the land there because we have built the structure there. And we will continue to build it. This year, we have a 200-meter timber breakwater at Danzig Content for $81 million. Then we have a procurement of 6,000 tons of rock armor to do at Aberdeen, Colombia at $64 million. And you have a small project, construction of 200-meter rubble mounds grind at Colombia and Essequibo, and a number of other areas that we have. So, and then we have the mangrove monitoring. You know for a fact that since we started this program, we are seeing now in the entire coastal area, we are seeing the resuscitation of the mangrove. We have built a mangrove center at Nari's compound, where we are bringing students across the country now to train them there. And we are having the community buy into this program, where we are restoring back our mangrove, and that is helping our LCDS moving the process forward.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Provision for drainage and irrigation structures and seed facility at MMA ABA. I see $250 million. Mr. Chair, could the Honorable Minister state whether vehicles and equipment are included in this sum? for the MMA?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, if I can, if I give you a disaggregation of this figure also. There's no vehicles and equipment in this, but we have a number of capital works that we'll execute this year to enhance the MMA scheme. You know for a fact that I am looking here to improve and increase acreage in that area. We have areas, places like Rampur, new areas, and the honorable member might be, he might know about those areas. Rampur, we have Horstelin, those areas, we get Karawa, and those areas we are trying now to increase acreage so that we can have cattle, rice, and cash crop farmers taking up land there. Remember that we are building now, and I will come later on to it, we are building a food hub in Guyana. And we have to ensure that Guyana be the food hub. We produce food in a large quantity because for us to be successful for by 2025, Guyana has to be successful. And the entire Caribbean is looking to us now to ensure that we do that production. And we are now opening up new lands in MMA. We are opening up new lands on the quarantine. We are opening up new lands in the Essequibo Coast. So we are now getting farmers more land so that they can produce. So if the honorable member, for example, construction of secondary canal tail, MMA, 15 million, improvement work at the Barry Conservancy, and I have the details there, another 15 million. We have the rehabilitation of secondary channel, embankment, 500 acres, cattle pasture development at Van Better, 70 million. We have the rehabilitation of the seed facility, 150 million, and you know, Region 5 now in that entire scheme. This year we have almost 85 or close to 90,000 acres for this crop under rice cultivation, between 85 to 90,000. And most of the seeds are being produced right at MME. And with this improvement that we are having, we can able to produce all the seed paddy needs for Region 5 MME scheme for 100,000 acres of rice. And then we have those are the disaggregation for the 250 million that the honorable member. I will give him to a copy of it.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, moving to GLDA, could the honorable minister state under provision for livestock development, who are the suppliers of the shade houses that are to be built and those that would have started?
Honorable Minister.
You sure the GLDA has shade house? I don't think the shade house.
Sorry. Sorry, sir. Let me move on. Sorry, dear sir. That will be for Nari. So I'll just jump over to Nari.
So, Mr. Chair, these are public tender. I can't determine who will have the shade house. We have a number of suppliers in this country. And when there's a public process and these things are being awarded by the National Procurement Board. So there will be an advertisement, and based on the most responsive bidder, the National Procurement and Tender Administration will agree. Right?
Thank you, Minister.
Mr. Chair,
Remember, Mr. George.
last year we gave to the Ministry of Agriculture $100 million to start this project. The program started when the minister mentioning that over 300 youths would have benefited from such. Could the honorable minister state who was the supplier then and what procurement process was used?
Honorable Minister.
There were a number of suppliers, if I can remember well, Mr. Chair, and I can supply that information, lay that information over to the honorable member. But as he rightly said, not only the young people, the 300 young people, but a number of schools now, we are resuscitating the agriculture sector in a number of schools, including schools in the city and around the country. Almost 154 shade houses we have built in schools across the country, and this year that process will continue.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr.
Mr.
George.
Chair, could the honorable minister say what is the total number of black belly sheep in the country for the black belly sheep project that is under GLD?
Mr. Chair, we have 707 of those sheep, and then the other tranche will come. According to the minister, what he told me from Barbados, that the other tranche will come before the first half of this year. Right?
Mr. Chair.
Honorable Member, Mr.
Yes, according to the minister in his last year answer, he said by now it is public knowledge that the president launched this project in region number 5. he said that the project will start in region number 5. I mentioned that we already received 438 black belly sheep from Barbados. We are hoping before the first quarter of this year that we will receive the remaining to make it 1,000. This project, as it was launched in region number 5, will start in region number 5. And then we go to different parts of the country. Probably region 2 will come into being after. Mr. Chair, we are almost a year past this time that the minister would have mentioned. I want to ask the minister, what is delaying the entry of the rest of black belly sheep? And also, how many ewes and rams are among this batch of 707?
Mr. Chair, you know something? This is beyond the minister's control. We are working with Barbados jointly on this program. Barbados has to secure these sheep before they gave us. Barbados told me last year that we'll receive the sheep at some point in time. We haven't received it. The minister again told me that we'll receive it before the first half. The 293 sheep remaining, we'll receive it before the first half. And when you look at the budget, you'll see that we have catered for that tranche to come in Guyana before the first quarter, before the first half of this year. So it's beyond my control. I can say tomorrow, and when I go over to the minister, he say next year. You understand? So we're waiting on Barbados. It's a program that we have, and indeed the program has been launched in Region 5, and we'll roll out the program in different parts of the country. We are not only catering for one region, but then, as I said, we are waiting on the other tranche to come here to move the process forward.
Thank you, Minister.
Mr. Chair, this program seems to be a very problematic one. So my reason for saying that, the opposition in Barbados also questioned the black belly sheep program, which is between Guyana and Barbados. Mr. Chair, I would like to ask the Honourable Minister, when will the distribution start, and if he's going to stick to region number 5 as the first region?
Honourable Minister.
What opposition regarding Barbados?
Mr. Chair, that opposition seems to be like this opposition destructive. But let me be frank, leaving out joke. We already have 45, if I can remember, Dr. Waldron, around that applicants from Region 5 alone. As I said, the program will roll out in Region 5. We have earmarked Region 5 to roll out this program, and very shortly we will roll it out. As I said, since the first the set came, we already have addition to that. And the honourable member mentioned you and Ram. We can give him that concrete around. Lead that over.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Honourable members,
Mr. Chair,
Honourable member, be careful how you are citing opposition. I think the last time PM Motley won all the seats. Yeah. Honourable Leader of the
Mr.
Opposition.
Speaker, with due respect, there is parliamentary opposition and opposition. He never said parliamentary opposition. He said opposition.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition, you're lecturing the Speaker.
Yes, I am.
Please.
Because the speaker is trying to suggest
Honourable.
opposition.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition, just cautioning you. You know, I could have invoked you after standing a point of order first. And I don't need to have, there's no debate on this. No debate. We deal in here, we deal in the House, and we talk about one opposition parliamentary. Honourable Member, Mr. Jordan.
yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I would still like the Honourable Minister to say to this House, when, since he already have a number of sheep here, when will the project or the distribution start in region number 5? And also, while he's telling us when the distribution will start in region number 5, let him say to us, or probably lay over the list of persons with the criteria that is being used for the distribution of the first tranche.
So, Mr. Chair, first of all, I just got here. The Dr. Waldron, who is head of GLDA, just gave me the total number of sheep here. We have 707, 544 female, 163 male. Ram and you get that figure. This program, as I said, we already have how many? 45 applicants, and this 42 applicants, and this program will roll out very shortly. I can't give the member an exact date, but within months this program will roll out. We are now scrutinizing and working out an arrangement Because this arrangement we have with the farmers is that they have to provide when we give them, if we give them a ewe, if we give them 2 ewe and a ram, they have to provide back to GLDA, like for a period of time, three breeding cycle, provide back animal to us so that we can replicate this. If you are talking about building a brand, a Caribbean brand, to replace the New Zealand lamb that are coming over this part of the world.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Yes, sir. So the Honorable Minister still did not say when, because he mentioned that he has a number of those sheep in the country. Please tell us when you're going to do this distribution, the first tranche.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I'm just saying the honorable member trying to hold me to a date. I am saying within months the program will start.
Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I am correct to say within a month from today's date, the project will start.
Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Again,
Mr. Chair, on the Sustainable Agricultural Development Project, Mr. Chair, in last year's examination of the estimates, the Honorable Minister stated that the abattoir that is under construction at Unvowak would have been completed by the end of last year. Could the Honorable Minister state what is the completion rate percentage at this time, and when the project is really expected to be completed?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, this project is 75% completed. As a matter of fact, the honorable member is saying now I invited him personally to go to the project because I visited the project a number of times. I invited him to go and take a look at the project too, because this project is in Anvowak. This will be a state-of-the-art abattoir, and that is why we had some change of design, and the new completion date will be the second quarter of 2024.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, could the Honorable Minister tell us what were the changes in design that would have caused the delay?
Honorable Minister.
I can lay that over, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chair, under the Hope Estate line, $50 million, could the Honorable Minister please lay over the works that are supposed to be done for the provision of bridge and upgrading of drainage and irrigation system?
Honorable Minister.
Well, Mr. Chair, if the honorable member wanted, I can lay it over, but there's a few bridges only, Mr. Chair, right? In the estate to enhance the estate to ensure that farmers have better access and better infrastructure in the estate so that they can produce.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the new Guyana Marketing Cooperation provision for buildings and equipment. So I'm happy to know that government would have budgeted some $110 million for buildings and equipment. So I would like to find out from the minister, how many suppliers are there at the new GMC that supplies chicken from overseas?
Honorable Minister.
No supplier supply chicken to the GMC, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman. No local supplier supply chicken to the GMC.
Thank you. Honorable Member.
Mr. Chair, again to the Honorable Minister, and he can correct me. During last year, there was an incident with a truck transporting chicken somewhere within Letem area.
Line item.
It is on the new GMC, sir. It is a very 3300800.
A GMC truck?
Yes, sir.
I'm
trying to, that is why I said it, the Honorable Minister can correct me. So it is a question in that form. And the chicken was, there was an accident, the chicken took a few days before it reached the Georgetown. Could the Honorable Minister state whether it was a GMC truck and whether the truck had cold storage?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I don't know what this honorable member speaking of.
Yeah.
We have secure vehicles with proper cold storage whenever we transport these items. And we try to uphold the and ensure that the food safety standards are upheld when we do these things. So I don't know what the honorable member is talking about.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, just standing order. With respect to questions, we shouldn't ask any minister a question for which he has no responsibility. Honorable member, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chair, with regards to the new GMC, what is the role of the Ministry of Health in the inspection and certification of the quality of imported chickens and eggs at that facility? Could the Honourable Minister state?
Mr. Chair, GMC don't import eggs. I don't know what the honorable member is asking. I don't know what is line item. What's he trying to get at?
GMC has one line item,
Right?
sir.
What that doesn't fall under the line item, Mr. Chair.
Honorable member, Mr. Jordan, you want to provide a clarification?
Sir, it is one line item for the entire new GMC here, and so I am guided by that.
Okay, and the minister said GMC don't.
Mr. Chair, for clarification's sake,
Go ahead,
you
Honorable.
have $110 million. That is 110,500,000 that is budgeted for the new GMC. And I will now go and give you a disaggregation of the 110 so that the member can be clarified.
I never asked for that.
Just 1 second. Honorable member, Mr. Jordan, you speak to me, and if I've given the floor to the minister, you have to respect the ministers on the floor. If you want to heckle him, and I don't hear, that's a different story. But if you put on your microphone and speak into that microphone, then you're officially taking over his position on the floor and my position in the chair. I don't have a problem. You can take it over now if you want, Mr. Mahipal.
Yes. So, Mr. Chair, that question doesn't fall under any of these line items. I can give you a disaggregation of the $110 million that have been budgeted for the new GMC for projects this year.
Thank you, Minister. But I think the particular item which you answered, he asked question was about eggs, and you said they didn't import eggs. Honorable member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, Guyana Sugar Corporation.
Honorable member, hold 1 second, because the honorable member, Mr. Figueroa, wanted to stand on the point you were questioning. Honorable member, Mr. Figueroa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The allocation for NARI. We have seen a significant increase here, Honorable Minister. Can you state out of this allocation how much will be allocated for NARI on the Linden-Suslike Highway, specifically because the increase from residents in Region 10 for seedlings and all of the other permanent crops that arm of NARI caters for is in somewhat a low amount. So if we are going to make agriculture intervention, I would like to know what are these intervention that is going to be made specifically for that arm of NARI that caters predominantly for a large population of regions.
So, Mr. Chair, what we are doing, we are enhancing the Karuni station that we have there. Last year, we are in the process now working jointly with GWI to do a well there so that area can have their own water supply. We are enhancing the nursery there. Very shortly, we will build a nursery for cocoa and coffee in that area because we are now working with ICA and the Costa Rican to have those planting material to Guyana, germplasm come to Guyana. And recently, we have built a coconut nursery in that area. So that area is catered for a lot of, and the Region 10 area is catered for a lot of development coming through NARI, because as I said in my budget presentation, that when you talk about Region 10, especially Linden, people only link it to mining. We want to change that perception. And a number of Lindeners and people from Region 10 are involved now in farming. We did large-scale clearance of land in places like Marataro and Malali. So we are now putting a lot of effort and a lot of investment in those areas. As I said, we have built a number of infrastructure in that area.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable member, Mr. Figueroa.
Thank you. Thank you, for bringing that clarification with regards to agriculture in Region 10, because I agree, a lot of people are of the view that mining is and agriculture is not that big, even though Ibini and the corn and the soy is in Region 10. But with regards to you making mention of a lot of the clearing in the areas that you would have mentioned, would the farmers specifically in Linden, would they be given some form of intervention to help clear the land so that they of themselves could get involved in a larger scale of agricultural undertaking, and more so accessing the additional seedlings that NARI and the Linden Arm will be providing. So we need assistance for those farmers to have access to machinery to clear those lands. Will this intervention here be a part of that program? And if so, how can they access the assistance that they would need for the clearing of the land as well as seedlings and such?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, what we have been doing over the years, we have been giving and sharing free planting materials to all the farmers that request. Not only in Linden, but across the country. And Linden, a number of farmers would have received this service from us. For example, like Rockstone right now, we have a bulldozer there clearing 40 acres of land. The second phase of Marataro and Malali to clear land there, the advertisement will go in the media very short when this budget would have approved. So it's an ongoing process. And yes, the honorable member, whenever you encounter farmers and want help, we have our officers in Linden, we have our office there, and we are providing the services that they need and also the material that they need. Because in area like those, you have to also provide things like the Akushi and spit, because that's a serious problem there, and we are giving that free. We are producing it and giving it free to the farmers. All the planting material and things like citrus, pineapple, sucker, those things we are making available to farmers. Coconut plants, you know, the 3 years and the 18 months coconut plants, we are making also it available to farmers. So yes, that will continue to do and intensify over the years.
Yes, so
Go ahead.
I have a list of farmers who would request this assistance, which I will make available and follow up with you. But given the fact that you say you've committed here publicly that you will make these equipment available for the clearing of those lands, once the lands are cleared, it therefore means that the issue of water now becomes an extended issue, because if they're going to plant more, they're going to need access to water. I know you would have started some form of irrigation in the West Watuki area in particular. But when we extend those lands, with the present upgrade that you would have done with regards to the drainage and irrigation there, would that facilitate the extension of the clearing of the lands to incorporate more farming activity?
So Mr. Chair,
Go ahead,
as long as we clear land and we make lands become available to farmers, we are providing planting material, and at the same time, we are also looking at irrigation. So as the demands increase, we normally look to find ways to have irrigations available for the farmers in various communities, and that will continue.
Thank you. One other question, final question.
Go ahead, honorable member.
Pardon?
Go ahead.
Yes, regards to the coconut nursery you mentioned at the Arm and on the Linden Highway there, would this also include the nursery for the Brazilian special species coconuts?
Mr. Chair, yes, and we can make some available for the farmers who need it in Linden.
I'll provide you with that list. Thanks.
Thank you, honorable member. Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, coming back to Gaisuko, we have here another $2 billion budgeted for Gaisuko under capital contribution. Mr. Chair, last year in 2023, we budgeted and spent $3.5 billion. Mr. Chair, at the beginning of the year, during the consideration, the Honorable Minister said they were talking about $549 million for Rose Hall factory to complete the works in the factory, the rehabilitation of the main crane gantry component, crane carrier, boiler component, bagasse carrier, centrifugal baskets and crystallizers, rehabilitation of scales, vacuum pans, wharf, and general factory equipment. While we will then spend another $50 million on buildings, roads, and around the area. Mr. Chair, can I ask the Honourable Minister whether all the boilers are operable at the Rosal Estate, and if there are at this time any leaks on the centrifugal basket, and what was the total cost for the rehabilitative works that were done after the 549 was spent?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, like other factories, sugar estate, sugar factories, that was left to the mercy of nature, we had to spend a lot of money. Because when the estate was closed, things was left to neglect and a lot of parts deteriorated. We said we will reopen it, and we did reopen it last year. Now, those parts that the honorable member mentioned, like things like boiler, you will repair the boiler, but during the course of grinding, you might find a leakage. You have to repair it. And that will be a continuous process. Those baskets that he talked about, yes, are repaired. And Rosal Estate is scheduled to commence grinding this year when? End of February. So as what he's saying there, that all those arrangements, all the repairs are in process and will be completed for the Rosal Estate to commence grinding this year, so that we can work on the target that we have set for Gaisuku.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Chair, am I to understand to the Minister that there are still defects at the Rosal Estate factory at present?
Honorable Minister.
No, Mr. Chair. I'm not saying there's defect. I'm saying that the honorable member, if he was a good apprentice coming out of the Port Brand Training School, he would have known that these sugar estates are sugar. When you do grinding of canes, you might encounter difficulty. As it stands now, there are no problem. We are preparing to commence grinding by the end of February.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I don't know how better of an apprentice I need to be, but you can check the record that I graduated with double distinction and a credit from the Daisuku Training Center. Mr. Chair, I would like for the Honorable Minister to say to the House, what was the total sum spent at Rosal Estate to get it to the state that it is at today, and how much sugar was produced and the profit from those sugar? I know it's 1,034 tons, so I shouldn't ask that, sorry.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, you know something, let me tell you something. If I was in the opposition, that my opposition membership, I wouldn't ask this question to embarrass myself. They caused it. They closed the estate. They caused it to rot. They caused the deterioration of the estate. They caused thousands of lives and families to be broken up in this country. And they got the audacity to come and ask that question. $9 billion. They caused the people of this country. They cost taxpayers $9 billion to be spent to rehabilitate and bring back Rosal Estate into production. They caused it. And we produced 1,031 tons of sugar late last year when we started it. And I'm very optimistic that this year that Rosal will produce the target that we set. That is under this PPP civic government.
Thank you very much, Honorable
Mr. Speaker,
Minister, Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Chairman, I just want a clarification. Continuously you say to us that we have to ask a question and we can't make statements. Is it also true that when you're asked a question, you're expected to answer, but you are not expected to make statements outside of the answer that we just had? I need your clarification.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition, we normally start at 10. And for persons who are not physically able to be in the house at the time of start, we have provided a special Zoom link for MPs. And this matter was raised shortly after we started. and I don't want to be too repetitive, but I have said over and over again that the policy for which the monies are, for the programs for which the monies are identified, is open for people to make those statements. And I can refer into standing orders. And I read out in detail Standing Order 752, which allows for a debate on the sums being appropriated. And that is why the Honorable Member, Mr. Mahipal, had a field day in making a lot of contributions. So we need to, we need, I can't keep repeating this for every latecomer in the House or a person who failed to log in. But rest assured that I have great guidance in our staff with respect to these rules, international conventions, and the 800 years of parliamentary democracy that exists, Westminster style. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan, you finished?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
permit me. It was prudent management that brought about the right sizing of Gaisuko under the coalition government. Hence, we see Gaisuko being able to sustain itself. Mr. Chair, could the Honorable Minister now state for factory what is the production target for 2024 for factory? While he's doing that, Mr. Chair, I would like for the Honorable Minister to also state what is the expected grinding time per crop for factory?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, I just want to make a clarification on an issue that the honorable member would have mentioned. When they got into government, they commissioned a commission of inquiry. They said they had the best brains of members. That was headed by a number, Mr. Bible Parverton, and a number of persons who knew about sugar. So those persons, yes, all of us agree that these people knew a lot about sugar, and they will give us a findings that we will uphold and ensure that we implement. And those members, those honorable members of that commission said that no sugar factory should be closed, and there is nothing like right size in the report of the commission of inquiry. Nothing like that.
Thank you, Minister.
Good, that is a clarification. So I don't know if the member got the right size. That right size is one honorable member word in this assembly.
The Honorable Member asked a
So
question.
the grinding period will be this year from this first stop to start from February and will end almost at the end of May, or close to the middle of May. That will be the period. The targets for the estate, we are now looking to revise some of the targets, and I can lay that over for the various factories.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Chair, could the Honorable Minister go the grinding period again for, just for clarity, I want to make the note.
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, I said earlier that Rosal will start at the end of February. That will be the beginning of the grinding period, and it will end between the middle of May to the end of May, based on the weather pattern, and we are looking at that. As I said, we are revising the targets for these sugar factories.
Thank you. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, could the Honorable Minister state whether at Rose Hall, based on the mechanization and the works done in the field, how much cane is available to grind throughout this forest crop?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, what we are doing for this first crop, we have about 2,500 hectares of cane at Rosal, because when we went to Rosal, there was a lot of abundant field. You have forested area, and we had to clear that. While we are doing that, there is a work in progress. We are mechanizing, we are changing the Dutch beds to make it broader beds so that we can have these machine cut the cane some area and also load the cane loaders. So that hectares will increase over the next few months too, because we have up to March to have cane that can be planted up to March that we can reap and get sugar this year.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Jordan. Honorable members, Honorable Member, Mr.
Thank you.
Forgive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Minister,
Chair, I don't know why you're overlooking me.
with regards to
Uh,
behave honest.
sorry, Annette. Just give him a chance and then I'll come back.
Okay, sir.
You did indicate to me that you wanted to come up next. Sorry. Yes, you did. A long time ago.
Yes, Nari, Mr. Minister, you had informed the House in 2023 you would have provided over 300 shade houses across the country. In 2024, we have seen a significant increase. Are you in a position to inform us how many shade houses will be, in total, will be made available for those who are interested in having access to a shade house for 2022?
Honorable Member, Ms.
So, Mr. Chair, as I said, that we are having requests, especially in the education sector, the schools. We are working very closely with the schools. We have the agriculture, innovation, and entrepreneurial programs that will be now extended to regions 5, 2, and 10, where we have a number of those shade houses will be going. Although we are also will have, like what we have in Maripo, one of the largest hydroponic farm. We'll also extend that program to regions 2, 5, and 10, where at least minimum 100 youth from these areas will be get involved. But as the honorable member mentioned, I can tell him exactly how many shade houses we'll be providing this year. But we have here in our budget about approximately 200, I'm being told, that we'll procure it, and then we'll work with various organizations, various groups, and schools to see the needs.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member,
Thank you.
Mr. Bagheera.
Food Safety Authority, I see $5 million there. So for the provision of equipment. Could you state what are the equipment is going to be procured? And would any be catering towards the testing of the crops, the end product of these crops? Because what we would have seen most recently, and a lot of the consumers are saying that the purchasing of goods on the market are spoiling very fast, and they assume it is because of enhanced use of fertilizer. And we want our citizens to buy good quality and more so organic foods. With this type of equipment cater for ensuring that the foods that are being sold on the markets are up to standard for safety, because we have seen an increase in cancer and such like, and we are of the view is because of the food that they are consuming. So in this regard, could you state specifically what are the equipment that will be used, and more so, has the ministry given some thoughts towards the idea of investigating the crops, the products that are being sold in the market that is spoiling very fast?
So,
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, this here 5 million should buy some small equipment, but the SADP program, we are now constructing the Food Safety Authority building with a lab. I'm hoping later on this year or early next year that could be completed. But all the equipment, because this is a program here, what we are working now, to have the Food Safety Authority into operation. And when we have that, we have to bring in Food and Drugs and other bodies that are responsible, that the honorable member would have mentioned that they have, like the farmers or the vendors are complaining about the fertilizer, heavy use of fertilizer and things like that. So all those bodies or all those agencies will fall under the Food Safety Authority. I'm now in discussion with the Attorney General, see how we'll bring it. And also, we have to bring back the legislation to the Parliament, because there are a lot of punitive clauses in that we have to amend. So we are working on that too, and we'll have to bring back that. But what the honorable member is saying, yes, we are working from our level, from the Ministry of Agriculture through NARI and other agencies, to reduce the use of the traditional fertilizer. As you know, that we have had the Agri Investment Expo, where we had a number of specialist schemes, and we are looking now at the nano fertilizer, which is more friendly for food processing and things like that, which doesn't have the kind of chemical effect that these traditional fertilizer has. So we are working on that, but yes, over time, the Food Safety Authority, with the labs and with the equipment that will be in those buildings, will help us to analyze the food and get it better. So,
Thank you very much, Honorable Member, Mr. Figueroa. I have the Honorable Member.
My last question, and then may I crave your indulgence with the Speaker's permission. Thank you. Mr. Chair, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Minister, Nari, is there an educational program with regards to teaching local farmers how to utilize the waste to make their own manure, to cater for those farmers, small scale, who cannot afford to go and buy the fertilizer, be it the safe fertilizer or otherwise, so that they can ensure that whatever crops they are growing, based on the knowledge that Nari will provide, can help them use their fowl manure, the leaves, the shaving, whatever, so that they can have a balance of how to fertilize these crops that they're growing in a safe space with whatever is available in the environment. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
yes, Mr. Chair, we have started that, and that will continue. That program will continue not only in NARI, but GLDA, right? The vermicompost programs that we have in various parts of the region. I've been working with farmers group, and we have continuous training. If you see on our Facebook pages and these social media, and we have places like Region 9, Region 10, all over the country. We have these extension officers who have been trained to ensure that they go to the farmers and ensure they have those kind of training. And that will continue, and we'll aggressively pursue it again this year.
Thank you, Minister. And now for the Honorable Patient, Resilient Member, Anna Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, a pleasant morning to you
And
and
to you.
all the other honorable members of this esteemed house. Mr. Chair, if I can take our attention to project code 130-1600 NDIA. I note there's a whopping $10 billion for the construction of water pump houses and also payment of retention fees. My question to the honorable member, while on my way to the National Assembly, I was tuned in, and based on some of the responses he proffered to my colleague with regard to the delay in many of these projects coming on stream, where as a result of persons had to be relocated, persons had to be removed, and all other reasons that you would have given. But honorable member, can you say to this committee of supply whether feasibility studies were done? Because the feasibility studies would have allowed you to know that, well, look, you have squatters encumbering the project area, and you know what might be the setback for some of these projects being rolled out. So was feasibility studies conducted in Charity area? I think I also heard somewhere in Bellevue in region number 3, and there's another area in region number 3 where houses were in close proximity of the project site. So was feasibility studies done, sir?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, the needs for drainage and irrigation would have caused us to budget these projects or put these projects in place. Now, the honorable member talked about feasibility study. These studies are not needed for these projects. What we have been doing, we have been working with the farmers over time. We have been looking at the needs in the area, and that is why these projects have been coming to concept to build these projects there. Now, the point is, I mentioned just now the reason, and I gave those answers to the National Assembly already, what has caused the delays in some of these projects.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Mr. Chair, I will not accept the responses given by the honorable member. This is taxpayers' money, and we must ensure that if we are to spend taxpayers' money, we must be able to get value for money. The minister earlier, sir, did make mention of the fact that designs were done. Designs were done. So if designs were done, obviously a feasibility or a pre-feasibility study should have been done prior to the design being done. So you know exactly what will be the challenges that would face some of your projects in the execution stage.
Mr. Chair, first of all, I want to debunk a statement that was made by the honorable member, that if we not get value for our money, we are having value for our money in this country. Now, the other issue that the member probably doesn't comprehend what I'm trying to say. She doesn't know about the agriculture sector. For example, the need assessment. The needs assessment in these areas was done. We need to build these projects. We had, yes, a design. The design was reviewed by the consultant and the NDIA engineering department, and they agreed that this will be the design. Right? And when we go to the project site, there you encounter some difficulty, and that caused, I explain what caused. Good.
Honorable member.
This would be my last point. While the honorable minister just made mention that it seems as though I don't know anything about agriculture, it seems as though you don't know anything about project management. Because if you knew the steps in project management, sir, some of the things that we're encountering in these projects would have been avoided. Yeah. So I'm saying to you, when it comes to the expending of taxpayers' money, we have to ensure we get value for money. Because if you had known that houses were in close proximity and all manner of things, these things would not have been delayed. So, Mr. Minister, you have to be very, very careful when you're trying to make personal comments to members of this house here.
Mr. Chair, I want to maintain that. The honorable member talking about project management, we have overrun the cost of the project, number one. We had some illegal structure. And the honorable member was a minister in the previous government who bought 12 undersized pumps. Up to now, the taxpayers of this country have to pay for that pump. Fire engine pumps. And the honorable member got the audacity to come and talk about project management and talk about agriculture when the APMU has to kill agriculture in this country and cause Ghana to lost its place in the agriculture sector in CARICOM, which was taken up by St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Today, our agriculture sector is being led by the Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, and this country is leading the Caribbean under the PDP government. Under this government.
Honorable
Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, my concern has absolutely nothing to do with design. It has all, my concern is about the feasibility study and the persons who would have been affected. But let me say to the honorable minister,
honorable member, we are prosecuting the estimates here, so please let's stay with that. I think we have exhausted the
Chair,
questions.
Mr. Chair.
On honorable member, Ms. Fernandes.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, I have a follow-up first on the honorable minister's comment about Guyana being so engaged in food production, basically on food security. I see here when you look at volume 2 of the estimates, one of the impacts that has been identified, number 3 there, is safe and reliable food supply, food security. I will recall, the House will recall that it was in 2022 at the Agri-Investment Forum and Expo, Vision 25 by 2025 was announced. My question to the Honorable Minister is what percentage of that 25 has been achieved at the end of December 2023, given how far along we should be, and what has been Guyana's contribution percentage-wise to that reduction in importation of food?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, as the honorable member rightly said, that the last time we did a study, we had close to about approximately 60% of those targets we have met. We are hoping by the end of 2025 we can achieve the 25%. And Guyana would have contributed significantly towards that. I don't have the figure here to call a figure, but Guyana would have made the most contribution in CARICOM to that target of 60%.
Honorable Minister, Honorable Member, Mr. Finance.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear that there was a study. Could the Honorable Minister commit to laying over that study to the House so that we'll all be in possession of the same data?
Was not a study for clarification, was a targets, a calculation of the targets of a 25%. We are at 60%, and I willing to show the contribution of the 15 member states and the 5 associated states in CARICOM, the contribution they have made to that target. I am willing to lay that over, and I will show in that target Guyana's contribution, where Guyana has made the most contribution to that target in all the areas and all the priority commodities that were identified by the ministerial task force and approved by the heads of government in CARICOM.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could the Honorable Minister say if we will be scaling up when it comes to our export, the number of exports, or would we be scaling down in 2024?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, I mentioned that earlier, that we are building a food hub. And if we are building a food hub, we are building a food hub to help CARICOM to reduce the food import bill. We are looking to be self-sufficient for the production of livestock feed by the end of next year, and also to be a net exporter. So that automatically and definitely we will be scaling up in that area. We are looking in 2021, I haven't had the figure for last year, 2022, but in 2021, we imported $2.6 billion in high-value crops. Now we are contributing more than 40% and reduce that target. So we have scaled up in that area, things like broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, lettuce, bell pepper, those things. Now they're young people, and that program is supplying the hospitality industry right here in Guyana. We have ready market. So in a number of areas, we are looking to improve. For example, the target set this year by the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Agriculture, we have to increase rice production by 710,000 tons from 653,000 tons. We are looking to increase sugar production. We are looking to increase or start the production of Vanami prawns at Anpawak. That will commence in a matter of months, and Guyana will be an exporter of those species of shrimp. We are looking to increase the production of brackish water shrimp so that we have moved as a matter of fact, we have increased it from 10,000 kilograms when we started the project to now about 90 or approximately 90,000 kilograms. So yes, Guyana will be scaling up in the production and also the exports of these crops.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Finance.
Thank you. Excellent to hear those numbers. Could the Honorable Minister please say what is the integration, the percentage of the integration of small and medium scale farmers into that scaling up process?
Honorable Minister.
So we have had that have been tremendous for us in terms around the country. A lot of small scale farmers have been involved in these production in terms of producing these crops. And what we are doing also, we are looking at our food security plan for the country. And we are not looking at farmers and the coastal area. We have a comprehensive plan for the interior location where we are trying to make them self-sufficient. We are building nurseries in various interior locations so they can help contribute. For example, in the Deep South, we recently commissioned an agro-processing facility, and we are working with the farmers there that community can produce all the peanuts, the need for the peanuts, and process it right there so that they could send it out to our coastal area. We are working with places like Oriala, Siparuta. We developed 30 acres of pineapple farm there so that they will produce their pineapple, and we also building an agro-processing facility in Oriala, Siparuta. Right in the honorable member hometown, Bartica, which is considered like Linden, a mining area. We are trying to change that perception. We are building a cold storage facility there, and we are working with farmers to start the process there. So a lot of small scale farmers now are moving into a different category, medium scale, moving up. But what we are doing, we are concentrating them to do specific type of production. So we are saying, yes, you can do all crops in small scale. But if we are talking about we need peppers, or we need broccoli, or we need a special crop, we are working with farmers and integrate them in the system so that they can help produce those things.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to draw the Honorable Minister's attention to indicator number 9 that says number of farms certified to produce wholesome food and agricultural commodities for export. In 2023, it was reported that the number of farms that were certified to produce such was 301. However, the revised target for 2024 is 200. So I find it a bit difficult to understand if we are looking to scale up, why is it that the ministry's target is 100 less than the actuality for 2023? If the minister could kindly guide me.
Honorable Minister.
This year's farm certification, Mr. Chair, and this is in addition what would have certified in 2023. Another 200 of those farmers or more will be certified to produce those type of food.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Finance.
Mr. Chair, could the Honorable Minister, because I'm not sure if you have the information with you, but could you commit to laying over a breakdown of those farms that were certified?
Sure, Mr. Chair.
Honorable Member, Ms. Finance.
Thank you, sir. As we continue to speak to food security, could I draw the Honorable Minister's attention to Project Code 2803000, which speaks to the Hinterland Environmentally Sustainable Agricultural Development Project. When I'm looking at the project document there in Volume 3, it also speaks, sir, to enhancing food security and nutrition. My question to the Honorable Minister, since there is a lot of work that you just said is being done into integrating small and medium scale farmer into the overarching goal of food security that Guyana is directed in, what percentage of indigenous communities have contributed towards the food security structure? And is there any direct policy measure or indicators that we're looking at when we're talking about food security in indigenous communities?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, I can lay that information over, but for example, in Region 9, we have approximately 58 villages that we are working directly. This program here, we are working with each villages in the various interior location. What we are doing, enhance their capability, ensure that we have more production, but I will lay that information over to the Honorable Member so that I can give for the entire 242 Armenian communities across the country.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Finance.
Thank you, sir. This is my final question. Could the Honorable Minister say, in addition to the Hinterland Environmentally Sustainable Agricultural Development Project, and the funds being allocated therein for indigenous communities when it comes to agricultural development, is there any other mechanism that is utilized by the Ministry of Agriculture when it speaks to equitable distribution of resources to aid in the development of agriculture? I know that you did speak, sir, about having cleared lands and so forth in other areas. Has the Ministry of Agriculture engaged any indigenous communities when it comes to those initiatives, land clearing and so forth? And if yes, sir, could the minister say which communities were engaged? And further, sir, what is the overall goal when it comes to food security for Guyana?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chair, last year we had the National Tushol Conference right here. We had a number of requests, and we have been working since I became Minister of Agriculture. I've been working with the region and with the villages across the country. And the President himself would have visited a number of interior locations. Based on those requests, we have been working with various communities across the hinterland We have been, as I said, building, giving these black giants board. As a matter of fact, as I'm speaking, 152,000 of those boards were distributed in the interior location. 152,000. We have $709 million under the integrated program this year that will go for hinterland development. And I can give that disaggregation. And I have here in my hand the work we would have done, right? Like this, I have the disaggregation for the $709 million. And then we have a number of works that we would have completed. You have this tick here, list here, right? Where areas now in the hinterland community, they are now producing most of the food, things like the crop, like the entire Region 9. We produce a lot of cassava sticks. So those areas, we produce livestock, animal, we give breeding animal. We produce Region 1 and Region 9. We give them specialized equipment, large tractors with grass planter, with harrow plow, so that they could build their own nurseries. We are working in them in various communities to build nurseries so that they can have their own planting material. So we are continuously building capacity in these areas. This year, we'll also put down another 50 cages in the hinterland community. So that will help to contribute to what we are doing in Mashabo, Mainstay, those areas, and other hinterland location. So we are working very closely with the hinterland community to build their capacity so that they can produce food, not only one type of food, but various areas. We are working with them.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Honourable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for Program 212, Agricultural Development and Support Services Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honourable members, page 500. And I propose the question that the sum stated for Program 213, Fisheries, Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. The Honourable Member, Mr. Jordan. Honourable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for Program 213, Fisheries, Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honourable members, Program 214, Hydrometeorological Services Capital Expenditure. And I propose the question that the sum stated herein stands part of the estimates. Honourable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for Program 214, Hydromet Services, Capital Expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honourable members, I could be guided here. The next head is the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce. Should we take the lunch break now or do the ministry? Honourable members, a good time to take the suspension for lunch. Let me thank the Honourable Minister and his staff, all of his staff, for taking us through that agency.
Belongs to we, not one Lusaki, not one rice grain, not one crush, not a bit of grass. So we ain't giving up no more.
Mr. Speaker, this is a budget of deceit. I repeat that. This is a budget of deceit. It scores high on the art of deceit. It sets out to deceive the people of Guyana.
We are going to create a caste system in this country. whereby the inequality is going to be so vast to the extent whereby they are literally going to control this economy.
For every child that will receive a $40,000 Because We Care cash grant, they will be equally receiving Because We Do Not Care more than $500,000 debt burden.
Mr. Speaker, Budget 2024 is funneled and fixed between the Treasury and the pockets of friends, families, cronies, and flatterers of the People's Progressive Party to allow the oil money to flow into a small circle without a single drop of the oil money.
Mr. Speaker, Guyana's foreign policy, whilst always important, has assumed the place of paramountcy over the last year. One could not, however, tell this based on the delivery by my colleague across the floor yesterday, who spent 25 of his 30 minutes on everything else except foreign affairs.
There's someone in jail. And I'm concerned. Let us be fair. You promised in your campaign, in your extract of a campaign manifesto, you were going to amend that production sharing agreement because we don't know what making deal. 3.5 years later, you have not changed a word. You have not changed a dot. You know why? Because the deal's sweet to fund all of your projects. Let us be fair.